Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Soul Current. I'm Lisa. It's such a great place to be. We are heading into our 10th episode, and I just can't believe how much we've covered since the inception of this podcast. It's not been that long, but it's been such a great experience. It's been wonderful to see so many people actively working to awaken themselves to a life they were always designed to live. Because I'll tell you, striving is not the answer. There's another way to do it. And last week, we talked a little bit about a very hot topic. Manifestation is what we decided to jump into last week. Now, the industry of manifestation, I will say, or the industry of the law of attraction is a multi-billion-dollar industry worldwide. That tells me there is a lot of people looking to attract to themselves a life, not just one little thing or another, but a life that is more, grander, greater than the one they have now, one that fills them with more purpose, more passion. And so we go to this idea that our thoughts can attract a whole new reality. And so we're going to continue our talk from last week on why. Why are so many people not seeing or not getting the results of the hard work? They've read the books, listened to the podcast, followed the gurus. Maybe you've got vision boards, more than you can count. You're repeating affirmations all day long. But the success rate for manifestation is very, very low. It's about 90 to 95% not successful. So what is happening? Why is this? Well, I'm going to tell you what's going on. Yes, there are people that can effortlessly call in what they want, others doing all the right things, but getting nowhere. There is another way to do this. That is what we're going to talk about today. We're diving into the missing steps that are going to help you actually see the results you want. So if you're ready, let's go. Here's the thing. Most manifestation techniques, exercises, practices, they are not meeting people where they are. They're meeting people halfway up the staircase. The average person is either on step 1 or they haven't even climbed the staircase yet. So a lot of times you walk into the bookstore, you find the book, you open the book. That book assumes you have some level of clarity, that you have an understanding that you're worthy and you feel that, or that you have a level of trust in yourself. And the book also assumes that you already believe whatever you're longing for is possible. But what if you don't? What if none of those things are you yet? That is the reality for a lot of people. They're standing at the bottom of the staircase looking up, and they're not on the 4th step. They're still questioning who they are. They're questioning what they want. Not everybody has a clear, defined image of what they want in their life. I was that person for a long time. I'm like, I know I want something grand. I just don't know what it is. So how can you manifest if you don't even know what you want yet? If you don't even know what's available to you yet? How do you jump in midway up the staircase? Here's an example. If you wanted to be a doctor, and I love this example, I've used it in previous episodes before. If you wanted to be a doctor, but you didn't want to go and do the foundational schooling, you just wanted to jump into medical school, you're like, I'll figure it out when I get there. And let's just say in some crazy world, you could make that happen. What do you think is going to happen when that professor standing at the front of that lecture hall starts speaking about something like, I don't know, the blood-brain barrier, and you're going, wait, what is that? And you go to explain to the professor, you've never heard of the blood-brain barrier before. At some point, he's going to tell you. You have to go back and learn the basics. You have to know how the body works to understand how medications interact with all the different parts of the body. Otherwise, it's kind of a scary doctor, right? Don't want to be that kind of doctor. This is the same type of idea with manifestation. If you don't understand and haven't done those fundamental steps, jumping in at the middle of the staircase is going to be confusing. So, for example, if you're saying to yourself, money flows to me easily. Let's just say that's an affirmation. Money flows to me easily. But bills are piling up. You're about to lose your car or you've just lost your job. Everything on the outside of your world says the exact opposite. So even though you're saying the words internally, the feeling is, this isn't true. That feeling is very intense. And so it's counteracting what you're saying. So what do? Well, that's where those initial steps come in, because that is the common thread. You are not abnormal for experiencing that and thinking that and feeling that. That actually is the normal. That's the normal thing. So how do you deal with it? That's where those initial steps come into play. It's not a strategy issue. It's a foundation issue. Manifestation cannot override misalignment. What does that mean? It means when we are born, we are aligned with much deeper levels of ourselves. I call it the soul. You might call it universal energy, whatever works for you. But your soul and your spirit are aligned. And when we're born, it all just naturally works. We're a baby. We have no reason to be misaligned. But as we grow older and life happens, bad situations, bad experiences, trauma, all of these terrible things that can happen in a person's life alter our alignment. And we fall out of alignment with that beautiful guidance that we are all born with. And we start leading this life with our mind primarily. Your mind is driving the ship, and the whisper of your soul, your intuition, your gut, again, choose whatever language you'd like, is pushed to the back, to the shadows, if you will. Then comes the time where you're like, I feel like I'm destined for more. I feel like this life should be more. And not understanding, that's the first step. You haven't taken a moment to understand that's the first step. In alignment again. One of my favorite lines to share with people is you cannot align when parts of you are misaligned. And manifestation cannot happen without alignment. And if you can't have alignment with parts of you that are misaligned, try all the affirmations you want. What you are longing for is not going to come your way until you align your mind, soul, and spirit together. You understand? These are those initial steps. That's why there's an easier way. It's not so difficult when you go through those first few steps to get to the middle of the staircase. All of a sudden, alignment hits, and from alignment, ascension happens. And that means the life you so desire to live, and we will touch base on this in further episodes, naturally flows in magical, amazing ways. Desire without alignment creates friction. That should be a sentence you take with you throughout the day today. Desire without alignment between mind, soul, and spirit creates friction. So you can visualize something all day long, but if your identity doesn't match it, if your nervous system doesn't feel safe holding what you're visualizing, or if your subconscious believes it's not for you, you will unconsciously push it away. And this really is the part not a lot of people talk about. Manifestation is not about forcing the universe to deliver something to you. It's not that at all. It really is very simple. It's you becoming the version of you who can receive what you're asking for. Should I say that again? I feel like I should say that again. Manifestation is about you becoming the version of you who can receive what you're asking for. And a lot of teachings, not all, but many, skip that part. They teach you what to think. They do that very well. They just don't teach you who you need to become. They teach you what you want, but not how to clear what's blocking you from receiving it. That's why so many people quietly walk away thinking, I don't know, I don't think this is for me. It's not that it doesn't work. It's that you're handed step 4 before you ever took step 1. You understand? And that is what I want to help you with. So when I talk about the staircase, I do it on purpose because there's a level of accomplishment that comes with it. Everything begins with what I call the stirring. It's the quiet nudge, the internal whisper, that feeling that something more is meant for you or is available to you. And most people, unfortunately, they're not doing it intentionally, but most people ignore that stage. And they do it because it's not this big dramatic stage. It's not like fireworks are going off. It's very quiet. It's gentle. But it really is the most important step. Because before you can manifest intentionally, you really have to become aware. Awareness, team. Awareness. Aware of what you actually want. Aware of what doesn't feel right or what feels off. Aware of almost everything. Aware of where you're settling in your life. Aware of emotional reactions, patterns in your life. You're just becoming aware. And from there, from that awareness comes awakening. And that's where you begin seeing intentionally your patterns. From that natural place, alignment occurs. And that is where your identity, that is where your energy, and that is where your actions start matching. And only when that happens does ascension unfold. And that is where manifestation becomes a natural way of living. Effortless. Effortless. Isn't that a beautiful word? Effortless. Doing all this work with your mind. Let me tell you something about the mind. The mind cannot sustain in a constant state of creation. It can't stay in a constant state of creation. It's not designed to do that. It will get exhausted. It will wear out. And eventually it'll be like, oh my gosh, that took so much work. I can't do that for every part of my life. The mind wasn't designed to do that. When ascension begins, manifestation becomes natural. It becomes effortless. And not because you forced anything, but because you built towards it. You climbed the staircase going through the phases. That is the difference. Now, before we go any deeper, I want to pause for just a second. So many people feeling that quiet nudge from their soul. It's just this whisper you can't ignore. And I created something just for you. I created the Soul Current newsletter. So every week I send out simple but very powerful tips, practices, and reflections to help you live more aligned, more inspired, not from pressure, but from clarity. I'm also going to be sharing upcoming free events and talks, even giveaways of my books. If that sounds like something you'd love, you can go and sign up at bit.ly/soulcurrenttips. That's bit.ly/soulcurrenttips. All you need is your first name and an email address. That's it. We're building this step by step together. Now let's get back to it. So naturally, the question is, how do we begin to manifest? How do we do this differently so we get the results? I mean, that's what everybody wants to know. Think about it. If the law of attraction industry is multi-billion dollars each year globally, that's a lot of people that want to see success for their hard work. I totally understand. I was one of them. But there are steps to this. So you're going to hear me talk about 4 phases over the next several weeks. The stirring, that's phase 1. I personally call it the stirring. The awakening, alignment, and eventually we'll get to ascension. They're not hard phases. They don't require a ton of work, but they're necessary. And those initial phases are a must for you to reach the ascension level, which is where manifestation occurs. Now, we're not going to talk about all of those today. You'd be here all day. But because the reason manifestation feels overwhelming is because people are trying to consume the entire staircase at once, we're going to start at step 1. It's what I call the stirring. That's it. And the stirring is subtle. It's very subtle. It's not loud. It is not dramatic. It doesn't usually flip your life upside down overnight. It really is this quiet dissatisfaction that you can't quite explain. It's a feeling that you just in your heart know, I was meant for more. There's more now. I need there. And that feeling is usually a signal for growth. That's what you're picking up on. The desire for growth. It's a gentle pull towards something more. The thought that keeps returning, even if you push it away, it keeps returning. So it could sound something like, there has to be more to life than this. I know I've done this forever and always. It just doesn't feel like it fits anymore. Or maybe you're questioning it, right? Why do I feel this restlessness? I should be happy. Everything technically looks fine. Why am I not happy with this? That's the stirring. It's not about blowing up your life, though. It's about you noticing your truth. And the whisper that you're feeling, that whisper, that feeling of more, that is the soul's whisper. You're hearing your soul's whisper, which is pretty amazing. And it's now time for you to notice your truth. But most people do skip that step, either because they're not aware of it, or it just doesn't feel like it's a productive thing. A lot of people will judge themselves. I'm just ungrateful. I'm never happy. A lot of people say that. I need to be happy with what I have, even though internally they feel like they're destined for more. And they don't post about it. Not a lot of people do. I'm feeling like I'm destined for more. Anyone else? It just doesn't, it's not a typical step that people take, right? You also can't measure it. Can't measure what you're feeling because it's a feeling. But you also can't manifest from that place. Not yet. But that phase, that step, it is the foundation of everything. Because before you can call something in, you have to admit you want something different. That takes honesty. Myself, for example, being a broadcaster for 18 years across the country, love my job, love talking to people. I did not want the feeling of restlessness. I just wanted to enjoy my career. I didn't want to want more. I didn't want this feeling of searching. I wanted it to go away. Let me just enjoy what I have. That's just not how it works, though. The stirring or the soul's whisper, it's quiet, but it's persistent. It's not going to go away. So what does the stirring do? It asks you just to sit with yourself. Sit at night before bed, when you get up in the morning. Ask yourself, where am I out of alignment in my life? Maybe it's the job you're doing, the friends you have, the relationship you're in, the house you live in, the city you're in. Where are you out of alignment? You're not changing anything. Please don't judge. That is the exact opposite. You're not like, oh, I'm so stupid. Why did I ever move to the city? That's judgment. Let's not do that. Just ask yourself where you're out of alignment. You can jot it down in a journal if you want. Another great question is, where am I pretending? When you go to work, do you pretend to be happy? Do you pretend to have it all together? At night, when your head hits the pillow and you're sad, are you pretending throughout your day that you're not? Where are you pretending? Are you pretending with your friends to be one person when you know that's not who you are? You have to be honest enough to tell yourself that. Remember, alignment cannot happen when parts of you are misaligned. It can't. So you not being honest with yourself is keeping you from alignment. So just be honest. Where do you pretend in your life? Where are you shrinking? If you're at work and you're like, I know I'm an amazing baker, but I don't want to overshadow. I don't want anybody to think I'm silly. I don't want anybody to think I can't. So you shrink down. Where in your life are you shrinking down? And then instead of rushing to fix any of that, just observe it. That's all you have to do in the stirring phase. And when I say that, I mean it. That's it. It's just observing. No action yet, no forcing, no vision boards, just awareness. Your soul, your spirit, universal energy, gut feeling, instinct, whatever words work for you, it knows what it's doing. By you acknowledging, you're starting the process. And that's all it wants from you is just awareness. And that is the beginning of real manifestation. And if you got a flutter in the middle of your chest or you have butterflies in your stomach, that is these words ringing true for a deep part of yourself. This is the beginning of real manifestation. Awareness always precedes alignment, and alignment always precedes results. And I want you to get results because every person on this planet looking for that deserves it and deserves the steps to help make it a reality. I actually wrote the book, The Stirring, for this reason. I realize so many people are being handed what I call advanced manifestation techniques. Manifestation is an advanced system. You cannot jump to the end. In order for it to happen, you have to start at the beginning. And when I recognized that, I realized what they really need is permission to slow down and notice what's already shifting inside them. The feeling of restlessness is the shifting. My friends, it's the shifting happening in you. There's already a change going on. If that first phase resonates with you, you are in the quiet space of questioning and becoming. And if you'd like to get your hands on my book, it's called The Stirring. It's up on Amazon right now. All you have to do is search The Stirring by Lisa McNeil, MacNeill. It'll pop right up. It's a great initial guide to get you through what I call one of the most important steps in the manifestation process. It's just a gentle guide into this first step. Beyond that, I'm also working on a much deeper exploration of the entire journey. My next book is called The Soul Shift. I'm walking you through all 4 phases, from stirring to awakening to alignment to ascension, in that order. I'm showing you that striving isn't the answer, but I will show you what is you deserve to climb the staircase. You don't have to leap up it. I'll be sharing more about all of this very, very soon. So next week, we are going to move ourselves up this staircase from the stirring into awakening. But for this week, I want you to do one thing. Stop trying to manifest if it hasn't been working for you. Just put it off to the side for a moment, not forever, just for right now. Don't force anything. Don't try to make something happen. All you want to do this week is notice. Sit with the stirring. Pay attention to where you're out of alignment. Pay attention to where you're pretending, where you're shrinking. Pay attention to your emotions, how you're feeling and where you're feeling them. That's it. Just notice it. Because you're working a muscle. You're working a muscle in awareness. And the more you use it and the more you become aware, the stronger it gets. And the more it becomes a regular part of your day, you don't have to try doing it anymore. It just naturally happens. So all week this week, just sit with the stirring. And next week, we're going to talk about what naturally happens after you've been there long enough. After you've been in the stirring long enough, what happens when we move from the stirring into the awakening? And oh, what a phase that is. It's powerful, very uncomfortable, and it changes absolutely everything. So make sure you join me for that next week. And before we close, if you want weekly guidance as you move through these phases, be sure to sign up for the Soul Current newsletter. You can find that at bit.ly/soulcurrent-tips. Each week, I'll be sending you reflections and practices, even insights to help you move through this intentionally. You'll also get updates on free events and upcoming giveaways as well. You don't have to do this alone. You are not in this alone. Thank you so much for being here. I'll talk to you again next week. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you want more tips, exercises, and even inspiration to help you listen to your soul each day, head on over to my brand new YouTube channel, The Soul Current with Lisa. Now it's brand new. I just launched it, so I'd really appreciate you hitting the subscribe button. You'll find guided meditations, some journal prompts, even podcast episodes, as well as a few surprises along the way, like insights from my book, The Stirring, to help you take the first steps on your soul's journey. Thanks again.